What is up, everyone? We are back. This is Attack the Talk podcast. Yo, y'all fired up? Courtesy of our friend Kyron.
Yes, thanks, Kyron.
Social media TikTok manager.
Yes.
Check it out, guys. But Kyron's bringing the juice. Hopefully, it's better on your guys' end. On our end,
yeah,
it's
our
very,
end,
very laggy, and I hate it. But it is what it is. It's messing with our flow.
Of course, it's right as we start too. It's a little bit of dead.
It's how it is, I guess. You know what? It's going to be one of those podcasts, but so be it. We're going to go ahead and push through. As I said, hopefully it's better for you guys. Awesome. Is everything fine over there? Perfect. We love to see it.
Thank you for the feedback.
But welcome back, guys. The journey continues. We're back to talk about some more Attack, and we're going to continue on with the story. And I am so excited for this story because guess what, guys? We're going to get into some juicy stuff.
Yeah, like
I love it.
Real stuff.
We're going to get mind freaked right now, you know? This is the episode to do it. Man, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go take a trip down memory lane, and we're going to see some messed up stuff.
Yeah.
I have to watch my language, guys, because my mom told me that I cuss too much on this podcast, so... Instead of saying certain words, I'm going to say, let's get freaked up.
Yeah.
You know.
What the freak?
We're going to get excited.
Oh, shoot. Oh, darn.
But yeah, guys, when I was going and watching this episode and we were doing, you know, the research that we do when we were dissecting this episode, oh, man. And I saw certain moments happening. Kyra knows. And when we were watching this, right, and we saw certain things, man, and it got me so excited because I was like, man, the discussions that we're going to be able to have talking about this, and the thing that I wanted to make sure that with each thing that we see, I wanted to make sure we describe it properly. So, you know, it's going to be fun, guys. It's going to be fun to go ahead and talk about it. But again, guys, this is going to be season 3, episode 6. This episode's name is Sin. And yeah, this will be part 1 of our episode breakdown discussion. Thank you all so much again for joining us.
Yes.
We're excited to go ahead and continue on. As I mentioned earlier, you guys know the drill. We'll go ahead and we'll talk about the Q&A. We'll talk about the poll results. You guys also know the drill. Spoiler talk. Because I have a feeling that we're going to get into some serious spoiler talk territory with this episode.
There's a lot of references, a lot of Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of references. And
you guys will see.
Knowing what we know now, seeing what we've seen, right, in very, very recent episodes, even just stuff that we've seen in season 4, right? Not even just recent episodes, just stuff in season 4. Like knowing what we know now, we can go and talk about: is this character seeing that moment? Is that character realizing what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Is that character feeling the weight of everything that's, going to happen?
Yeah.
It's going to be fun, guys. It's going to be exciting to go and talk about it. You guys know I'm super excited.
How far do the memories go?
Exactly. And yeah. Now we hinted at it with, I believe, our Q&A.
Yeah.
Right? So excited to go ahead and talk about that, of course. Yeah, it's going to be a fun episode, guys. Yeah. So thank you all so much again for joining us. As we have friend of the show, Kyron, joining us live in chat. And Kyron says, what's up, guys? What's up with you, my friend? Hopefully all is well. Hope you're doing good. Hope the weekend's been good for you, as we're here streaming on a Sunday night.
Of course.
And yeah, guys, it's going to be good. So we're going to go ahead and continue on. And I'm going to throw it to Lex. You can decide whether or not you want to start with the poll question or the Q&A response.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start with the Q&A since you beautifully introduced it.
Let's do it.
Just in seamless transition, we asked you guys last week, did Aaron... I don't know why I was going to pronounce this word in the worst way that it's ever... I was going to butcher this word right now. Did Aaron telepathically... I was going to say telepathically... Did Aaron telepathically connect with Frieda Rice?
Okay. So we got to talk about the moment. We got to explain a little bit, right? Give us some context here, right?
Jinx.
So, you want a soda?
You
don't drink soda?
Yeah, Jinx, you can't drink that soda.
Yeah. So here's the drill, guys. We're talking about this because, as I mentioned, knowing what we know, knowing what Eren can do, we saw an interesting moment, and we talked about it last week's episode, where Eren, of course, is in this underground tavern. This underground, I should say, chapel.
Yes.
And this chapel is where Lord Rice and his family would go ahead and meet. They would go ahead and stay in this chapel. And the reason why this chapel is important, because this is the chapel where his family died. Like, they got, what they say it was, bandits?
Yeah.
Yeah, bandits showed up and they burned it down and they killed, Rod Rice and his family.
Yeah, everyone died in the fire, and yeah.
We're going to find out the truth behind all that in this episode, which is why I'm so excited. But there's a moment when Eren, he's in this underground chapel and he is in chains, right? And he goes and we see him, he's like still out of it. But then there's a moment where we go back and we see a lady, a very elegant lady. And she is brushing her hair. She's looking at herself in the mirror. And there's a weird moment where, kind of like in correlation here, she gets kind of spooked. She has this feeling of where, like, I don't know what her feeling is, but she gasps at something. And then all of a sudden, the next scene directly right after it is Eren himself waking up from maybe waking up from this memory, waking up from it. I don't know. Again, it's kind of up to your own interpretation, but we've got to believe it's there for a reason, right? And so, in context, giving you all that, let's go see what our friends say. So go ahead, Lex.
All right, to start us off, we have our friend of the show, Eddie.
Alrighty.
Answering as yes. He might have even peaked a little too much, though.
Oh,
no. Obviously, we know that he's referencing the...
Shame on you. Shame on you, Eren.
When Eren is basically going through the memories with Zeke.
Yeah.
Like, he's there in person, but they can't see him. But I think what Eddie's saying is maybe she got a little glimpse of him. But Eren be peeking.
Okay, so for that theory there, you mentioned that people can't see him. However, Grisha did. So does that mean that only Titan users themselves can go ahead and see Eren in his form or whatever it is? Because it makes you wonder, if Grisha was able to go ahead and see Eren, and Eren is talking to Grisha in this form, right? Future Eren talking to his father.
And he was able to see Zeke.
Zeke as well. So it's if Eren were to go back, let's say, and I want to talk about an interesting theory. I know that we talked about it kind of very briefly and something we mentioned, it'd be fun to talk about on the podcast. But do you think that she saw Eren? I don't know. Should we talk about it after we get the results? After the responses?
I want to talk about the next response.
Okay, perfect. Okay,
that
love it.
I would have never thought of if he didn't mention it.
Okay.
And I like this response a lot.
Okay.
Next response that I'm talking about is from our good friend of the show, Bobby7, also known as B. Dennis.
Yeah.
Bobby says, I love this response. Bobby says, nah, she probably just saw glimpses of things like her family's death, and just like Kid Eren did in episode 1.
Oh, okay.
I never thought about that as a possibility.
So
I just kept thinking about it as a glimpse, as in correlation to Eren.
Okay.
I just kept comparing it, putting Eren in there somewhere. But because she was a founding Titan, she could have had the memories of I can sense that they're about to get murdered or something along those lines.
I want to stay focused, but for whatever reason, this is pissing me off over on our end. It's really, really frustrating me, but it is what it is. If it's okay for everyone else over there, it's fine. I don't know why.
Yeah, let us
Honestly,
know if it's ever lagging on your end.
The connection here, whatever, on over here has been very, very bad. I don't know what it is. There's been a few times here, at least in my room, where the Wi-Fi will almost I'll be on my phone, I'll be watching YouTube or something like that, and all of a sudden it'll start buffering, and then it'll say I lost connection, but then it'll come back, so I don't know what's going on. I don't know why connection has been so slow as of late.
Yeah, because we're I don't know what you guys see, but what we see,
it keeps
streaming
buffering.
It's frozen right now.
Yeah, it keeps buffering over on
and if it's frozen for you guys, or if it's ever lagging for you guys, please let us know.
Lovey says you're good.
Lovey
awesome.
says that we're
Thank
fine.
you so much, Lovey.
Thank you, Lovey.
So it sounds like it's okay on your guys' end, but for whatever reason over here inside this studio here, it's very, very frustrating. But
yeah, just
nonetheless, all right. So but yeah, we got to get back to Bobby's response, because that is a very interesting theory to talk about, because now we're not even mentioning that Eren is involved in this. We're mentioning that she is, for whatever reason, she is seeing into the future of the fate of her and her family.
Yeah.
Right? And that has got to be so difficult, right?
Just casually brushing your hair and then just like...
And to see that, and then now it's kind of like you're at some point you're going to go ahead and brace and wait for the moment, knowing that it's going to happen at some point, you know? And that's going to be tough. But if that is what she saw, then man, you know, that's very valid for her to go ahead and be spooked and gasp and kind of just, you know, we see that moment where, I mean, if she sees that, it makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah, it really, it does. I really like the different perspective. This is why I love having your guys' input, because I would have never thought about that. I just kept thinking about, like, how does Eren fit in? Because obviously the next scene that we saw after her looking like she got a chill sent down her spine was Eren, like, opening his eyes.
And that's why my mind is so fixated on that specific direction, right? Mm-hmm. But then, Bobby, thank you so much for changing our perspective, because that's what's beautiful about AOT is that we get all those different perspectives. And there's sometimes... you know, it takes somebody to bring it up, somebody to go and mention it for us to be like, wow, that makes a lot of sense.
Because there's so many elements that you could like talk about and add in. And what's amazing and also frustrating about Attack on Titan is that we never get answers to anything. So we can always have interpretations.
Yeah, it's all in your own mind. But I mean, again, interesting theory though, because she is the founding Titan, right?
Yes.
Which means that we know that maybe her ability, you know, maybe she's able to go ahead and feel that. Maybe she's able to go and see that, because again, we're going to go ahead and talk about in this episode when we go back to Historia's past that Frieda is able to go ahead and do certain things with her Titan ability, right? And she's not even in Titan form, you know?
Yeah.
All it takes is just a single touch. And we know we've seen moments where touching the royal family,
someone of royal blood,
that starts messing with your mind a little bit. And maybe it's all about contact or something. Who knows? I mean, again, we can go crazy with the theories, but Bobby, thank you so much for that response, man. Yeah, that's an interesting thought.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Bobby. Moving on, we have Eddie again, but as Sunset Ridge Skateboarding.
Alrighty.
He says, yes, but wait, does that mean he can stalk past founding Titan users?
Yeah, I mean, again, if this is the theory that we're going with, our first initial theory, that she got spooked because she felt his presence, or Eren somehow maybe showed himself there. And again, at this point, I think it's safe to say that Eren doesn't even know his own abilities. He doesn't know what he's capable of, because he's going to get surprised by something in this episode. But if she did see Eren, that means that that's two people that Eren has somehow been able to connect himself to in the past.
Yeah.
Right? So that means that we can continue on with that theory that he's able to do it to other people. Right?
Because he's done it with... Yeah, looks like... I mean, if this instant, what we're talking about is that, then it's kind of in the pudding that he's done it with two other people that are both founding Titans.
Yeah. Which makes sense too, as why, I mean, there's those certain images, right? Early on in season 1, moments, right, in the early episodes where people say that they see grown-up Eren in the background.
Yeah.
So if that is the case, and that means that, hey, again, to the thought here from Eddie, he's able to go back in the past, right?
Yeah.
So that means that he can go back in the past to whatever moment, right? Even if it is to go ahead and talk to past users, right? For all we know, maybe, again, my mind's spinning here, Eren Kruger is familiar with the names Armin and Mikasa because future Eren went to the past to go ahead and inform
talk to
Eren Kruger that he needs to go ahead and save Grisha. He needs to be the one to go ahead and do this. Maybe the owl became a thing, you know, decided to go ahead and save Grisha because Eren was pushing that,
manipulated him,
you know, that mission.
Eren really is just, this is the story that I want to write. You're gonna do it.
That's the thing.
You're going to help me and do this.
I mean, again, we can go ahead and speculate, but we don't know to the extent of how far Eren can take certain things, right? We know that Eren, obviously, he's a very, very powerful person, especially where we see him in the last episode that we have seen, that part 1 of the culmination here, right? Of what's going to end up being the series finale. We see him, man. He's pretty freaking tough. I mean, he's able to go ahead and communicate, you know, because of being this founding Titan, right? And if he's gone in the past already a handful of times, that means that he can do it plenty of times. So, man, it's crazy.
Yeah. Ugh. Like, I realize how much we could just spiral from every Q&A. Thank you so much for that, Eddie. Next response we have is from RenaNell9614.
Alrighty.
And they say, even to this day, I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is that there's, like you mentioned literally minutes ago, that we're going to have questions. We're not going to get the results. We're not going to get the answers, you know, and this is another moment where it's like we haven't been given that concrete answer of like Eren himself saying that I have gone to the past and I have talked to my father, which we've seen. I have seen Frieda. I have, you know, we like
admitted all of it.
If he did that, you know, it'd be like, there it is. There's the answer we need, because Eren himself said it with his words that he went to the past multiple times, right? No, we see it happen, which leads us to believe that he's been doing it. Yeah. Right. But again, we don't know for sure. You know?
Exactly. Ugh.
So maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Like, you know, Bobby's theory. Maybe, you know, Frieda just saw, unfortunately, what, you know, her fate's going to end up being.
She saw the future memories.
Right? Who knows?
Very real of you. Thank you, RenaNell. And then next and lastly, certainly not least, we have I Am Storm, LOL, says, interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, again, it's kind of like the same response that we got, right?
You can't argue with that. That's pretty much, I
mean, we just don't know. And that's the thing, right? It's up to our own interpretation, up to our own speculation on
up to your own
what we
research, because Attack on Titan goes so deep.
And that's the thing, is you almost have to go back to like past moments in, you know, the different episodes to go ahead and try to, you know, like form some sort of concrete evidence.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy.
Attack on Titan isn't a show, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, that's really what it is. But wow, thank you all so much for the responses. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
We appreciate
it. Really great responses. You guys always have great responses though. It always makes me think of a new concept or something I never considered before, which is why we love your input.
Oh yeah. Also, Kyron says, I'm doing fine this week.
Oh, thank you.
Love to hear it. Glad to hear that you're doing fine.
Thanks for responding to that.
Right on. Okay. Now, let's move on, right, to our poll results.
Yes.
So what is the poll question for this week?
Let me get to it. All the other polls.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting closer.
You got to go to the tab.
There we
Highlight.
go. All right. Last week, we asked you guys, which character is the biggest softie and cares the most for their allies?
Softie question, all right? So we're asking this because of certain moments that we've gotten, right?
Yeah.
Where we see that some of these...
Jean, like, outed Levi.
That moment, but also we've seen, like, some of these badass characters. Sorry, Mom. But we've seen these characters, right, who are so strong, right? They're so fierce, where all of a sudden, maybe now where we see them in the story, they're starting to break a little bit, right? They're starting to show their more softer side.
Yeah.
Right? We see Commander Irvin himself. He's a little bit more like, oh, man, maybe I just should have died. Maybe me surviving isn't good for humanity, right? Where he's thinking that, you know, maybe I'm doing this selfishly. Whereas even with, you know, Captain Levi, we see Levi, he is now, they got good news. They're no longer criminals, but all he could think of is to apologize to Hanji for killing 3 members of her squad.
Yeah.
Right? And then, I mean, I'll let you go ahead and talk about I pretty much mentioned 2 of the 3, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, we've seen moments where it's like, man, you know what? Maybe these characters are really starting to show their more human side.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, all right, Lex, go ahead and tell us our lovely contestants.
So our contestants
our softies.
Who's the biggest softie is Levi, Hanji, and Irvin.
Okay. Interesting.
So starting in normal fashion from least voted to most voted, we have least voted at 12% is Irvin.
Wow.
Yeah, at 12%, pretty low. And then we have the next least voted between Levi and Hanji is Hanji at 31%.
Okay.
And then Levi at 57%.
Wow.
Which is most
over
voted.
50%. That's interesting. Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about each character, obviously starting with the least voted. You said by a wide margin. Right?
Yeah.
What's the percentage again?
12.
12%. Wow.
Yeah.
And that would be Commander Irvin.
7 votes.
Okay, interesting. All right, so Commander Irvin got 7 votes, 13%, 12%, even less.
Even less than that. Don't give him that.
So why is he the least voted softie?
I feel like it's not. I feel like he's not so much of a softie as, yes, like if you want to classify a softie as someone that's just passionate for their cause, yeah. But I feel like as the season goes on, unfortunately, we didn't get more. Unfortunately, we didn't get a whole lot of Irvin in the later seasons, but I feel like as it progresses, we just see his exterior kind of getting more numb.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is kind of what it is for everyone in Attack on Titan. The longer you survive, the more deaths you've seen, the more hardened your exterior is going to be. But also maybe the more compassionate you could be, like how you mentioned with possibly with Levi's situation.
Well, the thing is, we've seen already from, couple examples where the longer you are, let's say even as a commander or even as this leader, right? You're in this role, the longer you are and the more you survive, the more it breaks you down to the point where maybe you just no longer want to do anymore. I mean, we see as early as, in season 1 where the former commander, Keith Sodis, is, he's broken because he has to go ahead and give the news, right? About I'm blanking on the name, but I know the last name is Braun, right? Moses, yeah. And then, he has is just the arm.
Yeah.
And then we see he's had it with just constantly going on the other side of that wall and having to go ahead and come back with very, very few scouts.
Just feeling like solely responsible for the
And
death.
that's the thing, is that you start feeling that responsibility. It starts weighing on you. And we see it with, again, Commander Irvin. We see it with, Captain Levi. And even with Hanji, I mean, we're going to see it, right? But I mean, it's just slowly. It's just it's really breaking them down. Yeah. Right. But I guess it makes sense why Commander Irvin would be the least voted because I mean, like you mentioned, unfortunately, we don't go ahead and get a whole lot of Irvin, until after unfortunately, in season 4 on, right, we're getting into some things where we're seeing a lot of craziness happening, right?
Yeah.
And Irvin, he lived through his craziness for sure, because again, crazy stuff is happening in this current moment in the story.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, when I think of being a softie, right, I'm like, man, you know what? This guy still convinced his men, his scouts, to kill themselves.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, he will still do things that will jeopardize his scouts and his survival, their lives,
for the cause.
Right, for the cause. Whereas I think maybe if somebody was more, soft-hearted, they'd be like, "Look, guys, like
there's another way.
We have to find another way. There's no way why this. There's no way this should be the last. Our last
resort
option, or last resort, or last. Is to go ahead and kill ourselves. No, like we have to find another way. No." Irvin is dead set. Like, this is what we need to do.
This is our only
you
option.
need to do this. Do it for the cause. You're right. This is for humanity. And we still see him doing certain things to again get closer to the truth. Right. We know his motivation is to go ahead and find out the truth. Right.
Yeah.
To find out his father's truth, and he will see it through to the end. And again, he has done things to where it's like, man, he's not as much of a softie as Hanji or Levi. So
he's
now
just
that brings
extremely
us
motivated.
Yeah, that brings us to our second most voted with what's the percentage? 31%. And
18 votes.
And okay, interesting. So that's Hanji, right? And obviously, for people listening and joining us here live, we would love to find out and even to hear who you voted and why. I mean, we would love to go ahead and get that insight on why you think this certain character is a softie. But talking about Hanji, I mean, I think with Hanji, we see it maybe more later on. Yeah. Right? I mean, where we're at currently in the story, I mean, Hanji, she was just promoted, so she's not going to necessarily feel the weight, right away. Yeah. We know that she is, she's still very sympathetic. We know that she cares a lot, right? We've seen the loss of Pastor Nick, right, and how that affects her, because she felt now responsible for him dying because she put him in that room, right, even though they weren't even that close. Yeah. She refers to him as like a friend, but when do we ever see that friendship? Yeah. We don't ever really see it. I mean, maybe they were allies, but we don't see that friendship. But it goes to show with Hanji. He was
definitely useful.
Yeah, and it goes to show that what Pastor Nick meant to Hanji, right? I mean, again, we've seen moments with Hanji where she is very, very caring, even to the point where she cares about Titans,
Yeah, I was gonna say she's like
Sonny and Bean. I mean, weirdly
enough, like
she cried over them.
Sometimes more caring to Titans than she is to like the scouts and their soldiers and everything.
I mean, she was hysterical when Sonny and Bean were murdered, right? And then again, it's like, man, you have to be a huge softie to go ahead and feel that, you know?
Or, Levi describes her as a weirdo, but
yeah, it's true.
Softie is another word for it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, again, it makes sense why Hanji is, more of a softie than Irvin.
Mm-hmm.
But man, so that brings us to our top softie of the group.
Our Attack the Talk voted softie.
With what percentage again?
57, being 33 votes.
And that would be Captain Levi himself. And I think we see the evidence here.
Yeah, especially more recently, we've been seeing a lot more evidence.
Yeah.
Being like, aw, you didn't want to kill them? Aw, you big softie.
That's just what it is, it's we're seeing the softer side of Levi, and I think it's because he's becoming more vulnerable, and there's certain things that are close to home that are really affecting him in this moment, and that is, him as a criminal, right? Obviously, they're no longer criminals, but at the moment when they were criminals, he is not just fighting for his survival, but he's fighting for his team's survival. He's fighting for his newly found Levi squad, and they're so new that they're like freshly, I want to say just freshly scouts, let alone freshly Levi squad members, right? So as Levi's doing what he can to protect his group, right? He's trying to protect everybody, and talk about being close to home. Now you have your father figure, right? This person that raised you, and Kenny the Ripper, now being there in this moment, trying to kill him, trying to kill his team. It's like, man, there's so much that's weighing on him now, and then, it's just...
Dude's got baggage.
Levi, it's like we mentioned, these certain characters where they go through so much loss, so much pain that it eventually starts breaking you down. I mean, just think about it. Seeing Levi where he's at, right? Currently in the story, season 3, right? To where we first saw him in the anime. You thought this guy was as cold as they came. We thought this guy was as ruthless, right?
Yeah.
As unapologetic, right? As unemotional as they come, right? So now we're like, man, this guy is the biggest softie. It's like, it's so crazy how these characters, they change the dynamic. It's so strange.
Kyron actually messages about, so we got a few messages actually about the Q&As and about the poll that I totally forgot to talk about. Kyron says he voted for Levi and says Levi most definitely, he's just trying to keep a hard persona. Which we definitely saw.
Yeah,
which is what you were mentioning. That's what reminded me actually of it.
Yeah, awesome. That's a great insight. Thank you so much for that, Kyron, because it's true. I mean, again, when you are so good at killing Titans and you find out that you're killing people potentially, it shakes up your whole world, right? And now all of a sudden,
and you gotta keep face.
You have to. Well, the thing is, now he knows in the back of his mind that whenever he kills a Titan, that there's a thought that he's killing a person, right? But now when you go ahead and let's even talk about when he had Kenya and his gang all chasing after Levi, how many of those human beings that Levi killed? I mean, Levi's killing people. Yeah. Right? Let alone the thought of like he's killing Titans who are potentially people. Yeah, we obviously are aware that they are people, but he doesn't know. It's just a theory right now. But guess what? We see him murdering people. Yeah, they're trying to go and kill him, right? So it's all in self-defense, right? But again, that's all going to weigh on you. Yeah. In the moment, you're surviving, but once it's done, right?
That's some tough stuff to deal with.
Damn, I killed all those people, right? Yeah. I mean, Levi, again, it's all starting to weigh on him, but like Kyron said, he's still trying to keep that brave face. He's keeping that, that persona.
That hard, exterior, that persona, And we have Jacob Cobain, who also voted for Levi, says Levi doesn't show it much, but he does care.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is beautiful because it correlates exactly with what we're talking about. Yeah. The Levi, he goes and he cares, and but he's trying not to show it because I think it's good for morale. Yeah. Because if you go ahead, again, if I'm a member of the Levi squad and I see my captain is starting to slowly break down, right? And as Eddie joins us, what's up, Eddie? Eddie says it's weighing on him heavy, right?
Yes. But I think that Eddie. What's up,
that's
Eddie?
very true, but Levi is trying so hard not to show it because if the rest of his underlings, if they go ahead and see the captain starting to not quit, not lose fight, because we know that that's not the case because he's still fighting. Yeah. if Levi's gonna be thinking that, man, if my squad members see that, then they're not gonna want to go ahead and fight as hard, right? So again, it's
you have to be that. I mean, the captain. You have to be the one that people look at and feel composed. You have to be the one that people look at and think, oh yeah, he's got it all under control, instead of just knowing that he's soft.
Yeah, or even just imagine seeing like, oh my gosh,
he's suffering.
Like, the captain, he's starting to go ahead and lose fight. Like, am I going to be able to go ahead and fight? Next, you're questioning yourself.
Not motivating.
Yeah. So, but alrighty, thank you guys so much for the results. We appreciate
thank you guys for all your
feedback.
responses.
So now let's.
Levi is the softie.
Yeah, Levi is. It's something you mentioned that somebody that we could have added in that category, but I was like, man, they would have been the clear winner. Was adding Armin to that group, and I think it's safe to say that Armin would have been the winner.
The softie, yeah, the softest of softies. Yeah.
Levi would have been second. I think it would have been close, but I think that, hey, I think we've seen from Armin that he cares a lot.
Especially in past polls and past conversations and stuff we've had. I'm actually, as AJ mentioned, I did, like, when we talked about, when he asked me to post the poll, I was like, oh, these are your only 3 options? Like, I'm surprised you didn't put Armin in here. And I actually am glad that you didn't.
Yeah,
because I think it's more interesting that he would have won by a long shot.
Yeah, I said this makes it more interesting.
Yeah, it's more interesting if we have, we like to challenge you guys here, know? Leave a good challenge. But thank you guys so much for your responses. Keep a lookout on the stories on Attack the Talk podcast for future Q&As and future polls on Instagram.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you for your responses. You guys are all greatly intelligent and make me feel dumb sometimes.
Okay, so something I want to talk about now is something that I saw online. I know that I had mentioned it to you, right? And it's kind of a theory about what Frieda saw. And there's speculation and a theory going around online that in that moment, Frieda saw Eren in the reflection of the mirror, right? We see that she has like a handheld mirror that she's holding on to, as well as she's, looking at her reflection in, like
a vanity mirror.
But there's theory that, that she saw Eren in the smaller mirror, right?
Oh, okay.
Which is, again, interesting.
Yeah.
And, it's kind of like a moment where it's like, man, if Eren is just somehow subconsciously, as he's we see maybe he's resting, right, while he's in his chains, this is before he wakes up, where if he's able to subconsciously just kind of mind go to a place and then somehow it transports him to that moment.
He's a dream walker.
Yeah, it's like, damn, like that's kind of scary. It's kind of trippy.
That's
right?
terrifying, yeah. I wish all founding titans good luck with that.
Can you imagine you're just doing your hair and next thing you know you just see somebody there?
Yeah, you're just like washing dishes or you're just like reading a book and then some
you just see the
emo
reflection
dude with
of somebody.
long hair wearing a cloak is just staring at you.
Yeah.
Who is that dude?
It's just a theory that I saw. Again, it's an interesting theory. We don't know for sure what it is that Frieda saw. We know she saw something or she felt something. That caused her to go ahead and feel this moment of like, whoa, like she had to go ahead and really kind of take a step back. But just a theory.
It's just a theory.
All right, guys. We got to go ahead and get into this episode because this is a really good one.
A juicy episode, just as you said before. I'm excited for this one.
All right, guys. We're going to go ahead and get into the episode. This is Season 3, Episode 6. This episode's name is Sin. And this is part 1 of a breakdown episode discussions.
All right.
Let's do it. You ready, Lex?
I'm ready.
There we go. The episode begins and we see Eren struggling, trying to free himself of his chains in this hidden underground chapel. Eren notices Historia walking towards him, very much free and not in chains. Historia tells Eren,
"Oh, you're awake. I'm glad. Just hang in there for a bit. We'll be okay."
Eren, after seeing Historia, tells himself, "At least Historia's all right." Historia continues,
"Eren, listen. My father has always been humanity's ally. His only goal is to keep people within the walls safe. It's clear to me now we misunderstood him. He didn't deny anything. It's true that he went after the scouts, and his people killed Pastor Nick. But he did that because he had no choice. Everything he's done, he did for the sake of humanity."
And then Historia's father, Rod Rice, can be heard responding, "Thank you, Historia. Please, let me explain the rest." Rod Rice walks to be beside Historia, and as Eren watches, he continues telling himself, "It's coming back to me. Yeah, the last thing I remember is the two of them. How long has it been? Captain, Armin, what happened to the scouts?" Eren gasps as he takes a look at the setting around him. "What's the deal with all these glowing pillars? They just keep going. I can't even tell if it's day or night. Wait, there's something else about this place. It feels familiar somehow. Have I been here?" Then we see Rod Rice holding Historia's hand as they walk up a staircase that leads to Eren. And Rod Rice tells Eren, if you were wondering, no, you've never been here before. Although, you may recognize it nonetheless." And then Eren, being cautious of Rod Rice, he asks himself, what's that supposed to mean? And Eren begins getting very tense as Rod Rice, with his hand reached out towards Eren, and Historia now directly behind Eren. Historia, asks her father,
Father, could you explain to Eren?
And Rod Rice answers, "Of course, I intend to. But before that, there's something I'd like us to try." Rod Rice reaches his hand towards Eren again. This could make him remember without us saying a word. Historia joins her father as she too reaches her hand towards Eren. They both place their hand on Eren's back. Then suddenly, Eren feels a jolt, a rush, as he now begins to remember. He sees Rod Rice and his children together, hand in hand. Then, they suddenly become alarmed by a presence. Eren asks himself, what is this? Who are they? And Eren then sees a fierce Frieda biting her hand, beginning to transform. He sees Frieda's Titan form locked in battle with another mysterious Titan. And Eren continues wondering, these aren't things I've seen. And then he sees that mysterious Titan killing Rod Rice's children. And we see Rod Rice is running away. Eren continues, no. And then Eren sees the burned down, destroyed chapel. Eren, whose memories are these? Eren then sees a young commander of the scouts, Keith Sodis, concerned, looking back. And Eren now sees someone placing a key in a kid's hand. Eren, the key! Eren now sees his young self in tears as he stares at a needle, being forced to take this injection. Eren, no, why? And then he sees his young self transform into a Titan. This smaller, angry-looking Titan roars. And then Eren sees his young Titan form reaching towards the person with these memories. And as we see the angry little Titan getting closer, Eren sees his father, Grisha Jaeger, in the reflection of the Titan's eyes. And then there's blood splatter. Then Eren feels another rush. Now he sees his younger Titan's skeleton surrounded by steam. Beside it, his father's arm. He now sees his younger self back as a human, but with those Titan markings on his face. Eren is in tears again. We see him holding on to his father's glasses. A shaken young Eren says, Dad, what happened to you? And then a young Eren screams out in horror as the memories end. And then Rod Rice asks, well? And we see Eren still, wide-eyed, shaken by the things he just saw. And Rod Rice asks, "Do you remember? Have you learned of your father's sins?" Wow.
Juicy. Definitely juicy.
This is a powerful moment in Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
Because we go back. We go back to moments that happened 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? We go back and we see Grisha's fate. We see how Eren became his Titan. It's a
Yeah.
question that Armin himself asked.
Yeah, I was gonna say
last
that.
week.
Like,
We see it.
Who did Eren eat?
We
Well.
also we go ahead and we see what Grisha does moments before he inherits or I should say he has Eren inherit his Titan. Right? So let's go ahead. Let's go back here. Right? We see Eren again. He goes and he wakes up. You know, he's in these chains. He's restrained. He can't move. Right? He looks and he sees Historia, who's, you know, again, she's very much free. She's not in chains. She is not captive. She is, you know, she's there.
Yeah.
But then the one thing that's interesting to me is that she tells Eren, what does she say? She goes, just hang in there for a bit. We'll be okay. I'm thinking to myself, that's easy for you to say.
I know.
You're not
What do you
freaking
mean?
locked up in these chains.
What do you mean
know?
we'll be okay?
I can't talk. I have a freaking metal mouth guard in my mouth.
Yeah.
Right? But she's like, everything will be okay, all right?
Yeah. He's a good man. Those people had to die.
At least Eren goes and he sees that Historia is all right.
Yeah, and that was all
But then,
he
like
was
you
really
just said,
thinking.
you just mentioned, right? Like she's trying to explain to Eren that her father has been humanity's ally the entire time, right?
Yeah.
She says his goal is to keep the people within the walls safe. She said, it's clear to me now that we misunderstood him. He didn't deny anything. It's true. He tried to kill the scouts.
Yeah.
Right? It's true. His people killed Pastor Nick.
Yeah.
Right? But he did that because he had no choice.
Yeah.
Talk about being manipulated.
No, it really was. Like
Right?
he said that he had to do it because of humanity's sake.
I mean, we've talked about it before in past episodes, right? Where it's like, man, this guy, he's gonna go ahead and try to manipulate his story. He's trying to. He obviously manipulates his children to become these founding titans, right?
Yeah.
So that he doesn't have to do it. He continued to go ahead and kind of just be the voice, right? He's a Jiminy Cricket here of the freaking founding titans.
Yeah.
Right? But he's doing it for such what we see. It looks like it's such a selfish way of just maintaining power.
Exactly.
I get it. His family is of royal blood, I guess, you know, so he has to carry on that lineage. But it's like, dude, I feel like you just get that sense that he's just using his children.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, for crying out loud, he had freaking Historia just alone on a farm over on his estate, right? Where she had no relationship, or did she have a relationship with somebody? We'll go and we'll get to that. But she felt so alone.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, the moment that you need her and you care for her is when you have to.
Yeah.
She's your only child.
That's like your last resort now.
Right? But it's okay because, you know, he did it because he had no choice. He killed Pastor Nick. His people killed Pastor Nick because he had no choice.
Yeah.
He tried to kill your friends, the scouts, because he had no choice.
Oh.
He is humanity's ally. We were so wrong, Eren. We were so wrong. I can only imagine that conversation of him selling that.
Yeah, the way that he explained
Historia.
it to her, and obviously her just being like, "I'm of royal blood." I like her having all this new knowledge.
Child, I've cared for you this entire time. You have
I'm so
no
glad you're
idea.
safe. I've been searching for you. Yeah.
And then he goes and he shows up, right? He wants to explain to Eren, right? But he's like, instead of explain, let me go and show you a little trick, right? Even just the way that he walks up the staircase with Historia, right? And he's just holding, you know, they're holding hands. It's like, oh my gosh, this guy is just trying to go ahead and have so much control over Historia, so that she doesn't get swayed, right? Because he knows that he has to understand that there is a fine line here because she was a scout. She was with Captain Levi and the Levi squad, right? But again, she's in such a vulnerable state where she probably just wants somebody to go ahead and care for her because we have to understand she lost somebody that cares for her. She lost Ymir. So again, unfortunately, in this moment, she can probably be easily manipulated because of the fragile state that she's in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about timing, right? But this guy, I mean, just seeing him walking up the stairs holding Historia's hand like she is some little, defenseless girl.
Yeah.
Which
is probably how he views her.
And it's just like, oh my gosh, you don't understand the hell that she has been through. You don't understand the change in her, right?
Yeah.
The
development she's gone through, the trauma she's been through,
and it's like
that you haven't even caused.
Now trying to just erase that, and like you mentioned, he sees her probably as that little girl, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, man, all that development, he's just trying to go ahead and bring her back to that kind of like, just soft-spoken, kind of caring person who, just wants to make everybody happy.
Be the people pleaser you once were.
And it's like, man,
and please
get away from her, dude,
Yeah.
But I mean, that's her father, And
Manipulators be manipulating, I guess.
Let's talk about this magic trick. Let's talk about the moment that he touches Eren.
Yeah, they rub their feet on the carpet and shock them.
Yeah, he has Historia go ahead and touch Eren as well. They do it simultaneously. And I want to ask you, Lex, this is just a theory here, but do you think that means it's twice as powerful?
No, I think it was just a contact.
Do you think it caused Eren to see more or feel more? Or do you think it doesn't matter how many royal blood members touch you if you were this Titan?
Maybe it's the impact of how like strong the memory is. Maybe the memory is more memorable.
maybe it's more clear. We don't know. But let's talk about the memories here that Eren goes and he sees, he feels, he witnesses, right? So we see that he the first thing he sees is Rod Rice and his children. Mm-hmm. They are again in this kind of circle, hand in hand, right? And they go ahead and they notice somebody approaching them, right? And then the next moment we see Frieda. We see her beginning to turn to Titan.
Yeah.
Right? Frieda looks so cool too when she goes and she gets into her Titan form. And
I wish we could have seen more of Frieda in action and everything, but we'll get more into that.
And so then we see her in combat, right? Battling another Titan. And we don't see this Titan because again, these are memories from whoever that mysterious Titan is, work from their point of view, right? And then things change to where now we see that Titan, looking down and we see, unfortunately, dead kids, right? Dead children.
All of those children, yeah.
But we see Rod Rice, kind of looking back and he's like running away.
Yeah.
Right?
Dude just left his kid.
Of course, he has to survive.
Yeah. Everyone for themselves.
And then we go ahead and we see now, from the perspective of whoever this person is, they are outside of the chapel and they see that it's burned down. Right?
Burned down.
And then the next thing we see is we see a moment of the former commander. And it looks like this commander again, maybe it's early. Well, we know this is very much early on, right? But we know that when we get to Grisha's backstory, that he has a relationship with Sardis, right? And so we see the commander of the scouts, Keith Sardis. He's like looking back and he looks worried. He looks concerned, right? He's looking back at whoever this person is with these memories that Eren is witnessing for the first time, right? And so we see concerned Keith Sardis. And then we see this person who this is their memories. We see them putting a key in a kid's hand. Yeah. And I think that's when things starting to connect for Eren. Because he goes, it's the key. Right?
He recognizes that. You don't remember that one day you just woke up with it around your neck?
And
you didn't question it at all? Okay.
Yeah. Right? So he sees the key. And then this is where things start getting very traumatic for Eren. He sees his younger self in tears being forced to get injected with his needle, right? It's like Eren, he's crying, he's being forced. We see this person's hand grabbing Eren's arm, forcing him to go ahead and kind of like, here, give me this arm. I'm going to go ahead and inject you with this. Yeah. Right?
Like very forcefully, like this has to happen.
We see that this young Eren is very much afraid, in tears, and I mean, it's a lot. And then...
Because how old is he at that point? What is he, like 9?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is 5 years ago, so probably around that age, of being around, 9 to 10.
Yeah.
Maybe even younger. Who knows? Because they look very young.
Yeah.
The timeline for me right now is kind of a little foggy because of,
same.
where we're at, but also things kind of happen very quickly. And then we've had, a couple little, jumps of time as well. So I'd have to really go ahead and go back and do research properly to find out.
I'm trying to remember, but I want to say somewhere around 9 or 10.
But then, so then we see his younger self transforming into a Titan. And it's not the Titan that we're so used to seeing. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a small little troll-looking Titan.
Yeah, he's like this gremlin.
Right? Who looks very, very angry.
Yeah.
Right? This is Aaron's kind of, what do they call this Titan form again? I know we've heard it before. Yeah, pure Titan, right? This is his pure Titan form. And then we see this pure Titan getting closer to this person's memories, and we go in and we get that reveal through the reflection of the Titan's eyes, and that would be that this is Grisha Yeager, right? And then very, very quickly we go and we see blood splatter, obviously implying that this Titan is eating Grisha, right? But then we get that confirmation when we go ahead and see the transformation back to a human, right? Mm-hmm. And Aaron sees his father's arm, and he's holding onto his father's glasses, and he has no idea what happened, right?
Yeah.
And then he sees that, and then the memories end. And then when we see Aaron, he is like shocked.
Yeah.
Stunned. Yeah. Traumatized. Frozen.
Yeah, traumatized is definitely a good word for that.
And I want to talk about what maybe more you think he saw, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, he sees all this, right? And when I'm watching this part, I can't help but think to myself, like, oh my gosh, if I'm Grisha, if I'm casted as Grisha in live action, oh my gosh, I get to go ahead and do these awesome scenes. Oh man, it's getting me juiced up. I'm so excited.
Once I saw spoiler, the mysterious Titan. Once I saw that, for some reason my first thought was like, AJ would love to do that mocap.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He would have loved that.
But also just for the fact of say if I was this live action version of Grisha Yeager, and then I go back and say I watch the live action version and I see these scenes and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is me executing those scenes. Yeah. That is my hand or whatever holding on to whoever this young Aaron is, they're forcing him to those moments. That's me.
That's
the
reflection me squishing those children.
Me. Oh my gosh. And it gets me excited, right? But but in due time, right, Eddie? In due time.
Yeah, right? It's in the works. It's in the works.
But I want to ask you now, Lex, okay, so we see Aaron, he's very, very traumatized, right? And do you think he saw the reason why Grisha does that? Do you think he sees his future self really kind of puppeteering?
No, I don't think he sees that yet.
Okay.
I don't think he sees any of the dark side of himself yet until he kisses Historia's ring when he suddenly changes. I don't think he's realized it yet. I want to say that at this point, I think he's just traumatized and in shock and has no idea what's going on. Just trying to put those pieces together.
Okay.
But that's just my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, again, we see that he drastically changes behaviors in that moment when he does kiss Historia's hand, right? So it makes sense what he saw was something that drastically changed his mindset, right? Whereas with here, he doesn't necessarily change his mindset that drastically, other than just the feeling of wanting to die.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Of understanding what his father did and now has this kind of mindset of oh my gosh, kind of like with Ymir. I mean, Ymir, she felt obligated to go ahead and return the favor, right? So it's kind of like Aaron's going to feel that same way where oh my gosh, my father killed your family. I have to go ahead and do this to right
I need to atone for my dad's
wrongs. Yeah,
exactly. Wrong. Especially because the first thing that he hears when he comes out of that is Rod Rice saying have you learned of your father's sin?
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for making me feel even worse.
Yeah.
Awesome. Again, it's the manipulating tactic. Rod Rice is so great at manipulating, unfortunately.
I think it's safe to say this guy has plenty of experience manipulating people.
Yeah, it seems like it. It seems like he's had really good practice throughout the years, with all of his children.
But yeah, I mean, again, guys, this is, it's crazy to go ahead and see the moments happening. Right, to go ahead and get the the answers, right?
Yeah.
To go ahead and get revealed moments that happened, right? Where we only speculated. Where it's like, man, like, how did Eren become a Titan? Because you got to remember, we have watched Attack on Titan, right? Plenty of times, but watching it for the first time and getting this moment,
I was just thinking
is
about
insane. Because you're like, wait, what?
Like, he ate his dad. Oh my gosh, why did he inject him? Why? Like, obviously, yes, you got, like, the perfect example. You got answers to this, kind of, but it leads you to more questions. Why did he inject him? Why did he kill them? Why? Like, it's just a question pyramid.
Because I remember thinking for so long, asking myself, like, where is Eren's father in all this?
Yeah.
Like, he just left the
and
family.
That's what a lot of, I mean, that's what a lot of, this is just a common idea for first-time watchers. Like, where is Grisha throughout all of this? What is going on?
Yeah, because we do see, obviously early on in season 1, right, that kind of like that nightmare that Eren has of seeing, of Grisha forcing Eren to take the key and all that, right? And he wakes up with the key. But we don't go ahead and see what happens with Grisha.
Yes.
Right? We don't see it. So that's why it's like, oh my gosh, like
where is he? Where'd he go?
Where did he go? He came back and he just left again. Like what was happening, right?
Yeah.
Eddie also mentioned Eddie agrees. He goes, I always wondered that too, right?
Yeah.
But then we go ahead and we get the answer here. Right? Like Grisha is no longer there. He's dead.
He's always been with us. Just in Eren's stomach.
Yeah. But man, this has got to be so much to just have to go ahead and
witness
and feel and witness exactly.
Especially from Grisha's perspective too. That's dang. Yeah. So Eren, if I were Eren, I'd be thinking about that for a while. Obviously feeling the guilt that we're gonna see him feeling.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and let's carry on, guys, and we're now gonna continue to take a trip down memory lane. So now continuing on with the episode. We now go to a farm. You ready for this, Lex?
Yes.
And this farm is in the Rice Estate, as we see a young Historia reading a book, accompanied by Frieda Rice. An excited Frieda tells Historia,
"That's amazing, Historia. Just look at how well you can read now."
A young Historia responds.
Okay. A young Historia responds.
Yeah.
"Thank you, but I only learned how because you were here to teach me."
Frieda, being a caring person, says,
that runny yours. This is, I'm doing so great.
You got it. Ready? Channel in. Here we go. Ready?
Okay.
I'm going to say this like that. Frieda, being a caring person, says,
that runny nose of yours needs tending to. I guess the next thing I should teach you is how to act more ladylike. Blow into this."
And Frieda reaches for a handkerchief and has Historia blow her nose.
Ooh, now that's what I call a job well done.
And we see now the day growing older as the sun begins to set. A young Historia asks Frieda,
"Hey, what's it mean to act ladylike?"
Frieda answers,
I'm not exactly an expert, but I'd say the young lady in your book has it down.
As Frieda points to an elegant lady in the book, handing an apple to a Ymir-looking little troll type. A young Historia sees the elegant lady in the book and says,
"Krista?"
And Frieda continues,
"Yeah. Is she one of your favorite characters?"
A young Historia nods yes.
"Krista's always thinking about other people and helping them out in whatever way she can. That's what I think makes a proper lady. You'll find pain and suffering everywhere you look in the world. So, do your best to make things better. Treat people with love, and they'll love you in return."
A young Historia looks up at Frieda and says,
"Well, that's how you act. So, I want to be just like you."
And then we see a surprised, alarmed look on Frieda's face. A young Historia continues,
"Do you think that if I try real hard, I can grow up to be like you?"
Frieda breathes in. She breathes in deep, and she exhales. And then she gets emotional and brings Historia in for a big hug.
"No need. You're already perfect. No need to change a thing."
A young Historia looks confused at first by Frieda's sudden change in emotion, but then they both laugh together. As they laugh, Frieda's emotion changes again, as we see now that she appears to be sad. Frieda now tells a young Historia,
"I'm sorry, Historia, but I have to go now. That means you need to forget all about me again. Until next time.
Frieda brings Historia close and rests her head on Historia's head. And then we see a sudden spark. A young Historia stays still with a lost expression on her face. And then as she comes back to, she sees this elegant lady wearing a sun hat walking away. A young Historia asks herself,
I wonder who that girl is.
The wind breeze rushes as we see Historia's book pages rapidly turning, and then the scene changes. Now, we see present Historia with tears in her eyes. It appears that Historia just regained some memories too. Rod Rice notices Historia's sudden change and asks, "What's wrong? Are you alright?" Historia responds,
How could I forget? In all that time?
Historia now remembers Frieda as we see a memory of Frieda playfully lifting a young Historia in the air.
I was never alone. I had her.
Historia recalls horseback riding with Frieda.
She was always there for me. She gave me books, taught me to read and write. She was so kind to me. So how could I forget about her?
Rod Rice responds, "I take it you're talking about Frieda." Historia repeats.
Frieda?
Then Rod Rice continues, "If it was a kind-hearted young woman with long black hair, then I would imagine that it was Frieda Rice. She was your half-sister. She must have been worried and gone to check up on you from time to time. If she was erasing your memories, know that she did it to protect you." Historia responds,
So, that's why I forgot about her?
Rod Rice explains, "That's right. Touching him seems to have brought those memories back to you. An unexpected side effect." We see Historia looking like she has so many questions. She asks,
Father, where is she? Do you think we could visit her sometime? I'd like to tell her thank you. If she hadn't been there for me, I wouldn't have had anyone. I need to thank her.
There is a brief pause before Rod Rice answers. But then he answers, "Frieda is no longer of this world." We see Historia's heart break as Rod Rice embraces Historia with a hug. "At one time, I had 5 children, but 5 years ago, my wife and our children were murdered by a man named Grisha Yeager. Your sister was killed by Aaron's father." Rod Rice glances at Aaron as we see Aaron still frozen, with a look in his eyes showing guilt and trauma. Rod Rice continues explaining as we go back to that day 5 years ago. Grisha had the ability to transform into a Titan. I still don't know where he obtained it. We see a very worried Grisha trying to talk and reason to Rod Rice and his family, but Frieda stands in front of her family, ready to protect them. And then we see Grisha take out a knife to cut his hand, and then we see his transformation. We see this large, robust-looking Titan with long hair, a beard, and a hairy chest. Rod Rice continues, but his goal was to steal something from the Rice family. What Grisha sought to obtain was power. We see Frieda now transform into her Titan form with her piercing purple eyes, engage Grisha in battle. Rod Rice says, the power of the Rice family which resided within Frieda. Frieda's Titan was by far superior to all of the others. In theory, she had unsurpassable power. However, at her young age, she lacked the experience to wield it properly. And because she couldn't unleash her true potential, Grisha ate her, and in doing so, stole her power. We see Grisha consume Frieda and steal her Titan abilities as he now has those purple eyes. But that wasn't enough. He then turned his gaze to the children. He wanted to eradicate the Rice family. He started crushing Dirk and Abel, who were 14 and 12. He trampled my wife as she held our 10-year-old Florian. He squeezed the life from my eldest son, Oakland. Through some curse or miracle, I alone managed to escape. A numb Historia responds.
Sorry. It's not fair.
She then stares at Aaron.
She didn't deserve that. Why would he do such a terrible thing?
We see that Aaron continues to have a frozen, in shock demeanor as both Rod Rice and Historia stare at him. And then we hear approaching footsteps. As the footsteps approach closer, we hear a voice. Hey, hey, hey! What's the holdup? And then we see Kenny the Ripper. Whatever you're talking about, we don't have time for it. Things are going straight to hell outside. Then Rod Rice tells Kenny, do explain. What's been going on? Kenny explains, well, the scouts started a coup d'etat, and all the other regiments have taken their side. Everyone found out that old King Fritz was a fake. And how his whole council has been arrested. Yup, it's been a royal shit show. Matter of time till they show up here. So you best get a move on. And then Rod Rice responds, all right then, I will. Now take the anti-personnel control squad and defend the entrance at all costs. And we see Kenny still standing there waiting. Rod Rice continues, I already told you that the ceremony can't be done in the presence of you or your crew. An annoyed Kenny responds, oh, where's the trust, your majesty? Did I make you mad? And Rod Rice just stares at Kenny. Fine, sorry. I'm just so worried about you. And Rod Rice tells Kenny, I trust you. It's because of that trust that you're here. Now go. Kenny responds, I feel the same, your grace. And as Kenny walks away, he murmurs under his breath. And Kenny now goes to defend the entrance. To be continued.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, the more and more I hear from Kenny, the more I think that Jeffrey Dean Morgan is the perfect candidate to play a live action version of him.
Yeah, that'd be really, really cool.
Oh, okay, so a lot happened here.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Eddie says, whoa, never noticed that. The book, right? The book,
Yeah.
never noticed the book.
The actual images in it.
But not just that.
What they could signify.
Not just that, though. It's about the character in the book, right? Mm-hmm. This character that young Historia, soon to become Krista, ends up really becoming, right?
Yeah.
We'll go and we'll talk about it.
She based her life off of that character.
Eddie also says royal shit show. Yep. Eddie says, see what he did there though? He loosely tried to keep Kenny in the dark. Of course, you know, again, we know that he's a manipulator. We know that he's not going to go ahead and show exactly what the process is, right? And also, if he shows Kenny's now going to have that knowledge, which means that Kenny's going to have some sort of kind of, you know, motivation or whatever, you know, you never know. Again, Kenny is a wild card. Kenny
only ever does stuff that benefits him,
which is why we see that moment where he goes and he's putting on this front. There's like he acts like he cares, and as soon as he walks away, you see him and like he can care less. He's just like
he's like whatever,
whatever, dude. Right?
I'm just trying to get what I'm trying to get.
Let's talk about it real quick, right? So let's talk about the moment that we see here when we go back to this farm in the Rice estate, right? We see a young Historia. She's so cute, right? She's so innocent, right? And it's awesome that she has somebody there because we know that
she was never really alone.
Her mom was terrible.
Yeah,
right?
that was horrible.
Terrible, right? Obviously, your father wasn't around.
There's some really horrible parents in Attack on Titan.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh.
But then,
just in this episode alone, we are seeing a lot of examples.
We see Frieda, right? And she is this very caring person, right? And it makes me want to believe, right, that obviously she is defending her family, right? And she's doing it because she really does want to protect her family, right? I get it. She was probably manipulated by her father to go ahead and take upon this power, but I think that she could have used it for good. We can go talk about that, obviously, in our final thoughts. Just food for thought there. But
just a little sneak peek. Little taste.
She is there being this awesome older sister to her young half-sister Historia.
Yeah.
She's teaching her how to read, right? And she's being very, very, like, encouraging.
Yeah. Almost
she's like, oh my gosh,
very
it's so
much
awesome.
Like giving her guidance, almost like motherly, and it's just very kind.
And she's like, wow, like, you're doing so good. You can read now, right?
Yeah.
And she's talking about how, young Historia saying she only learned how to read because of you, right? And, again, you see the kind of like the motherly instincts here where she's like, it's like she sees that she's got like a little runny nose.
Yeah.
She got a little drippage going on right there, and stuff. So then she goes, oh my gosh, like, wow,
let's blow into this handkerchief.
Yeah, go ahead and, she goes, that runny nose of yours needs some attending to, right?
Yeah.
She goes, now the next thing I should teach you is to act more ladylike, right? And so she blows her nose, right? And one thing that made me think that was like, okay, if she blows her nose and we see young Historia is blowing aggressively, like a little kid would do, just like,
yeah.
Right? And that Frieda says, whoa, now that's what I call a job well done. You can only imagine all the snot she probably felt.
I know. She's like, that is
oh, wow.
job
Okay.
well done.
Job well done.
Your brain in here?
Yeah. All right. Just something I kind of thought about. But then we see...
I thought saying a job well done after was kind of interesting too.
Yeah.
That's a job well done. All right. Thanks, I guess.
But we see now the day is starting to kind of come to an end as the sun is beginning to set, and it means almost like their time is almost up, right? But Historia, she still has a question. She asks what it means to act ladylike, right? And so this is where things get interesting because, like Eddie mentioned, that never noticed the book, right? Obviously, the image that we see as Frieda's answers by saying that I'm not really an expert, but the young lady in your book seems to have it down, right? As she points to the book, we see this elegant-looking lady, right? Who's handing an apple, being very caring, right? And almost like this caring lady is handing food to probably this shunned creature, this ugly creature that nobody probably goes and acts kind to, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like there, but it's an interesting correlation there because I described it as a kind of Ymir-looking Titan, right?
Yeah.
Because it kind of resembles a little bit of that.
Yeah, it has like the
there.
same like stature, big head, big jaw kind of thing. Like I was just thinking like, as Eddie said, like I honestly don't really remember the book having that image in it. I really don't. I remember always seeing the image because I'd be looking up Attack on Titan tattoo inspiration, and that is a popular image. And I remember seeing that and being like, yeah, I know that's in a book, but I can't remember where it's from.
Yeah.
Like what scene or what's going on in that. And like it just made me think about the parallels between that nice people pleasing, like not even people pleasing, just that really kind,
Just being a caring person.
always looks for the good, and like Frieda mentioned, like there's evil in this world, but look for the good and treat people with respect, treat people with kindness. Of that Krista, and then being so incredibly kind to like you said, a Ymir looking Titan, which is like a perfect parallel of this 10 years into the future, with Ymir and Krista, who's Historia.
Yeah, see, Eddie says, I agree with you, Lex. The Ymir and Historia parallele. He corrects, parallel.
Parallele.
No, but yeah, it's exactly right. I mean, it's kind of a cool little connection that we got there, right? It shows exactly kind of foreshadowing the relationship that she's going to have in the future, right? With this beast of a person, right? This Titan, right? Which a lot of people would go ahead and one, kind of be distant from or not see as a human being. But Historia very much cares for this person, and it's kind of, again, the connection is awesome to go and see. It's like foreshadowing this kind of very strong relationship she's going to have with Ymir, right?
And talking about like a shunned monster, like that could poetically be a parallel of Ymir as a person, not even as her.
Yeah, exactly.
Because as her, almost said her beast Titan, as her jaw Titan. That's the next question. What beast Titan would Ymir have? No, as her jaw Titan. Like even just she talks about. I mean, we've seen in past episodes that Ymir talks to Historia about like, you've always been so kind to me, and like, for lack of a better term, she basically was just like, I'm such a bitch. Why are you so nice? Like, I don't understand why you're so nice to me. And she's like, normally like no one else like could like no one like they could care less about me. Like, why are you so nice? And it's like a perfect parallel. Yeah.
And I like that you mentioned that because that's something that didn't really cross my mind at first, right? Because when I see the image, my mind initially goes, oh my gosh, that is like Ymir. But not even thinking that this Titan, we see, if it is a Titan, right? This monster in this book
this creature
is trying to hide their identities, trying to hide themselves, probably because they're constantly being, I mean, it's kind of like
Being
with the
judged
Shrek
or
movie, like the
Yeah.
first Shrek movie where you have all these people who are so scared, they're so afraid and scared of this monster, right?
Yeah.
And they go out of their way to go ahead and make this monster feel like crap, and
Yeah.
stuff. And thankfully, Shrek has the right attitude. But
Yeah.
but again, when you mentioned though with Ymir as the person, she probably very much felt the same
Yeah.
way, which is why when she had this cult really embracing her and caring for her, that's something she never felt before. So she, of course, went along with it, right? But then again, when she goes and has somebody in Krista who starts showing that they care about her,
Yeah.
then it's like, wow, and
Like,
then
really eye-opening.
yeah, so it's
Someone
cool to
can
go ahead and
just
see the
like
parallels.
ogres, Titans have layers.
Yeah, but then we go ahead and we see the reason why Krista acted the way she did is because of this elegant lady in this book, right? Frieda, she goes and she says that well, I should say when she points to the lady, one thing that's very, very eye-opening is that young Historia says the name of the girl in the book. The name of the girl in the book is Krista, right? And then Frieda goes, she continues saying that, yes, she is one of your favorite characters. Or she asks, is she one of your favorite characters? And obviously a young historian nods yes. And then we go in and we get the motivation behind Krista as a person, because Frieda explains, saying that Krista is always thinking about other people and helping them out in whatever way she can. Sounds very familiar to Krista.
Interesting.
Right? To young Historia taking on the mantle of Krista, right?
Yeah.
And being that very caring person that obviously was very off-putting to Aaron. How can a person be that caring?
I know.
What are they hiding?
That's not real.
That's not you. I'm actually really relieved to go ahead and find out that isn't you, because I knew that,
I didn't
that
like
person
her.
yeah.
I didn't really like her to begin with. I'm glad you found your audacity.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's very, very interesting to go ahead and we're getting parallels here, right? We're getting parallels, guys. We're seeing
so
like
good.
the moments, right?
They were foreshadowing something that we already know.
Yeah.
In the past.
But obviously, young Historia wants to be like someone else. She wants to be like Frieda. And why wouldn't she? Especially if this is the only
like that's
person
what kids are gonna. Yeah.
Excuse me. This is the only person that she has in her life that shows that they care, even for just that moment, right? Because unfortunately, we come to find out that Frieda can't allow Historia to remember her, which is so sad.
Yeah.
We see the pain in Frieda's eyes.
Yeah.
We see the moment where it's like when it's starting to come to an end. This is
like,
probably
I have to
something that
go.
every time that Frieda goes to this farm to go and spend time with her half sister, this is probably a moment that always kills her. Having to go ahead
Having
and do
to
this,
say goodbye.
and
just knowing that, like, well, you're gonna have to, like, she at least she warns her first. She's like, I have to go, and like, I'm gonna have to. You won't remember me.
Yeah. I want to ask you, Lex, do you think this is the drill every time that Frieda shows up to the farm?
I think so.
This is the same thing they do every single time?
I don't think it's the
Teach
same.
her how to read, show the importance of this lady.
No,
this and
I
that.
think
blow your nose. I keep
yeah, it's the blow your nose every time. She just says.
You think it's the
something
same drill
weird
every time?
No, I think that Historia remembers like those skills, like the reading skills and everything. Like I feel like the brain still remembers that, but I feel like Frieda is just like erasing her memory of herself, like just erasing Frieda.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what it is, just erasing Frieda.
Because we know that they don't do the same thing every single time. It's not like Frieda shows up every single Friday to go ahead and spend time and do the same thing, teach her how to read. No, we saw there's moments that she's remembering them horseback riding. We find them. That's Jinx. You give me back my soda.
Okay, you get your soda back.
And then we also see that, they're just being very playful with each other and stuff. So
yeah.
But again.
But what is Historia thinking every time this girl walks up? Like, do you think that she's like... You think like it's one of those like things where it's like, I don't know who you are, but I feel connected to you.
Probably.
So you feel trustworthy.
Again, she's so young, so it's like she's not really...
Kids have those extra instincts,
But she's not able to, at least yet, go ahead and kind of put two and two together, That's something that where I think that as she were to get older and continue seeing this person, that she would go ahead and kind of connect the dots. But I mean, she's still very, very young, and... But yeah, again, just to go ahead and kind of talk about the moment where we see... The moment that Historia tells Frieda, I want to be like you, right? We see the alarm look of like, oh my gosh, like, wait, whoa.
No.
Right?
That's not what you were supposed to say.
From Frieda. Why do you think she's feeling that way?
I think that Frieda, it's a combination of her being an extremely humble person, of like, oh no, don't look up to me, like probably knowing like I am a Titan user, I have to eventually use this power probably for violence. I have to eventually, like, she probably really only, given she looks for the good in everyone else, she probably only sees the things that she does wrong with herself, and that's why she probably cares about Historia so much. That's like, I don't want you to turn out like me, or at least, you know.
Well, because that very well could have been another parallel if Historia would have became the founding Titan, you know?
Yeah,
that could have been another parallel, but obviously we don't get that. Or
yeah. Do we? No, we don't.
no.
She's pregnant somewhere.
At the point, yeah. Plus, it'd be hard to get her hands. It'd be hard to get her hands on an Eren at this point. You know?
Yeah. At this point, that's a little. It seems
chance.
like everyone wants to, and no one really can.
But anyways, I like what you mentioned, where it's like, wow, she's so caring that, you know, in the moment where she sees that, like, oh my gosh, like she wants people like me, like no, like she tells her, she goes out of her way to say, like, no, you're perfect, you know, like,
yeah, you're
like,
already perfect, no need.
Yeah. And so again, it just goes to show the heart that Frieda has, right?
Obviously, we know that Historia was raised pretty much just by Frieda, because there's no way Historia got any of those nice tendencies from her mom.
Oh no, she had no relationship with her mom.
Her mom was just a victim of circumstance and just anyways.
Yeah.
We've already talked so much about her.
Yeah, probably manipulated by Rod Rice. Yeah, Alma. Yeah, probably manipulated.
Also manipulated
by Rod Rice, you know, and then just unfortunately, we know how the story ends, right?
Yeah.
But then, you know, Frieda sees that it's unfortunately time. You know, again, probably a moment that breaks her heart every time, as we see from her emotion in the scene that it's something that she immediately becomes sad. And the fact that she tells Historia too, right? That like, I have to go now, and that means you're gonna forget all about me. Okay, but until next time. And so we see here that upon touching Eren, that Eren obviously becomes traumatized, right? But also Historia remembers all this stuff, right? And it's got to be so painful for her to get this realization that this person has been there for her. Yeah. It's got to be like a very bittersweet moment, right? Because you're like, wow, like this person really was there for me, but like also like, but why did they, you know, have me forget?
Yeah.
And that's when, you know, kind of Rod Rice has to explain that, you know, if it's her, she probably did it for your own safety, right? But then something that he says though is kind of like, whoa, Rod Rice, where are you, pal? Yeah, he says that touching him seems to have brought those memories back to you. An unexpected side effect. Like,
an unexpected side effect. No, I was thinking about it too. Because
is that because he didn't want Historia to remember? He still wants her to go ahead and kind of just be so in the dark about all of this?
Yeah, I think that's definitely like a big part of it, because I was thinking like, oh, he's having her touch Eren too. Like, doesn't just Rod Rice need to touch him? Like, he just needs to touch someone of royal blood?
Yeah.
And I was thinking that like, oh, why is he having Historia also touch him? Because Historia could also feel those memories.
But I think part of it is because I think Rod Rice, again, selfishly and trying to manipulate, wanted her to also
like
see what Eren's father did.
Yeah.
Right?
Just to be like, look how horrible it was. Look, it's horrible.
Almost losing sight that like, she's going to also remember things too, you know?
Yeah.
Which is like, oh, shoot, that's right. Like, she can.
A side effect.
Yeah.
That's not what I wanted to happen. So but maybe I could turn this to my...
benefit.
So that's when he does, when she's like, oh, where is she? I need to thank her. Like, I'm so appreciative of her. That's when he was like, yeah, Eren's dad killed her.
Yeah. Exactly. And then we go ahead and see the moment, right? We see Grisha, and Grisha, he looks like he's very much trying to like inform and reason, explain whatever he's doing in the moment.
Yeah,
obviously,
he looks like distraught when we first see him.
Yeah, we know obviously from, you know, seeing it happening later on in Attack on Titan, right? Where he's trying to go ahead and he doesn't want to do what he's about to do, right? He gets pushed to do it. And he's trying to tell Rod Rice and his family that they need to go ahead and, you know, what whatever they need to do, right? Whatever the exact reasons are, right? But he's trying to prevent himself from doing it. He wants them to go ahead and do it, right? And they won't do it. So unfortunately, Grisha, he is persuaded, manipulated. He does what Eren wants him to do.
Yeah, and we know. Yeah, we saw the whole thing.
And so
did Zeke.
We see Grisha in his Titan form. He's able to go ahead and outsmart Frieda by being a more experienced Titan. As Rod Rice explains to us, right, that she is, in terms of, abilities or whatever, she's more powerful, right? He even says that in theory she had unsurpassable power. Yeah,
but it just seems like she had like the most potential out of all.
Yeah.
Out of all.
However, he says, at her young age, she lacked experience to wield it properly because she couldn't unleash her true potential. Grisha ate her. Yeah. Right. Which means that he now stole the power. He also explains that wasn't enough. He then turned his gaze to the children. He explains about what happened to each of his children. But of course, he is able to escape. He's able to survive. Like what he says, through some curse or miracle. Yeah. Yeah, right, dude.
I survived. No, dude, you saw him transform. You immediately ran.
Yeah.
You immediately ran. At least your wife stayed to protect your youngest.
Yeah.
But obviously to no avail. Yeah. And that's what I mean when I said earlier that I was like, dang, it would have been, I wish that we could have seen more of Frieda and more of her founding Titan, because her founding Titan is so cool. And like, you can tell it had really great potential. Like, unfortunately, through Eren's will, he had her taken.
Casualties.
Yeah.
There have to be casualties.
And he couldn't wait until she improved. He couldn't wait until she got to that met that potential where he could beat Grisha. Like, I got to do this now. We got to take the founder now.
And I'm excited to talk about the potential because of what we see from Uri, right? Uri? Is it Uri? Who is the other founding Titan, right? And we go ahead and see.
Sure it is. Yeah. It's
we
Uri,
see the abilities from Uri and how powerful Uri is, where it's like, okay, that's probably how powerful Frieda could have gotten, right? Eddie says, but her founding Titan was short compared to others like Ymir's or Eren's founding Titan.
Okay. Yeah. So Frieda had a shorter Titan, which could have been a blessing or a curse.
I don't know if she necessarily was a shorter Titan. I think that she was
around the same size as Grisha
in comparison to Grisha's Titan, because Grisha's Titan is, we see that his form. He is, as I mentioned, robust, right?
Yes.
He has
that's a great word to describe
good
him.
Size to him, right? I mean, he is this massive-looking Titan, very fierce-looking. But I think that Frieda's Titan was also pretty tall in comparison to Ymir, right? Or Eren's.
According to the Attack on Titan wiki, Frieda Rice's founding Titan form is 13 meters tall.
See, that's pretty tall in terms of Titans, right? Because I think Eren's his Titan is 14 meters, right?
Yeah.
So,
which is still pretty, yeah.
So, but in comparison to it, Eddie said, but not huge like the other ones, or maybe she had the ability to transform to different size. Yeah, I mean, I guess in terms of what Rod Rice is explaining about how she had unsurpassable power, isn't that right? That maybe you would think that she would be this kind of bigger, more imposing Titan. But again, as Rod Rice explains, that she was still very young, right? And that she lacked the experience to wield it properly.
Yeah,
right?
like what someone asked here on Quora, why is Frieda's Titan small? And the response is Frieda Rice was so weak because she had not been able to fully master her Titan power. She'd only recently gained the ability to transform into a Titan, and lacked the experience and knowledge of how to use her newfound abilities effectively. So I don't know if they're implying that she's small because she was new. She was a new Titan, young Titan, and she could eventually grow. Or I don't know what the implication is there. I think
that does make sense, because I mean, we see how Eren's Titan was in its early stages, and this and that, right? How it lacked a kind of like the sheer strength that it has now, right? That we see in season 4 as he infiltrates
the
Marley.
attack and the founding like on him or with him.
That Titan that infiltrates Marley is so different, right, from where we see his first Titan, right? So I guess it makes sense where
Trust.
Yeah.
I think that's when the first time we see him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says she just didn't know how to use that ability yet. Maybe. I think it's safe to say that she just wasn't experienced enough. You know.
She tried her best though.
But yeah, so let's kind of talk about Frieda's potential, as I kind of hinted at when we started talking about this part of the episode. Frieda, from what we've seen about her character, right, her morals, right, is that she is a very caring person, right?
Yeah.
Which leads me to believe that while she also is being manipulated by her father, I get it, right? I still think that, like, morality would have played a factor where if her father would have just kind of like, look, you have to, whatever, let's say for the sake of argument that he's telling her that she needs to go ahead and murder this group of people or whatever, right? Do you think that she would just follow the orders immediately? Or do you think that she would kind of like, oh my gosh, like more morality and just be like, okay, right? And it would probably have to take, again, you know, our master manipulator here, Rod Rice, to tell her like, look, he's going to go ahead and murder the family. He's going to go ahead and steal the power. You need to go ahead and kill these people, right? But it's like, I think that if she would have been more experienced and seen more of the world and kind of like
understood more
what is at
stake and everything,
and also just kind of again like become more experienced with her powers, right? Knowing what she is able to control and not control, right? And also see more of humanity and you know how afraid they are, right?
Having
that I
more
think
of the
that
knowledge of
she would have actually been a positive force for humanity.
Yeah,
you know,
unfortunately was just very new to the game and was shielded by Rod Rice and was taken early by I guess Aaron's manipulation won. Yeah.
Obviously the people cared about Frieda because I mean it's explained right that they enjoyed her caring nature and like, you know, even though she was of this kind of high stature, right?
Yeah, she was still
high status of being royal. Like she still
she has the
cared
blood.
for the peasants. You know? And that's what people saw. So I think that, you know, the people, humanity would have really embraced Frieda as
like their guardian.
Yeah, you know, as this queen. But again, as you mentioned, Aaron had other
plans.
But yeah, it's something to go ahead and think about.
He was only a couple years ahead of everyone.
Yeah. It's just something to go ahead and kind of think about, you know, potential, you know, like Frieda's another character we lose and we kind of get a very glimpse, you know, kind of short window.
Yeah, we always get these short glimpses of characters that seem like they could be so like valuable, I guess, like so like could really change the story, could really have such a major impact, have so much potential, and then they're just taken like that.
And that's the thing is that
we're introduced to them and taken in.
This is a character that was taken, right? And we go back to like, you know, memories, but I mean these memories are 5 years old, so again she still would be around, you know, if you know Grisha obviously didn't go ahead and take her Titan abilities, right? So I mean again it's like unless she was, you know, getting towards the end of those 13 years, which is very hard to believe because as they explain it, she lacked experience, right? So that means that if she had just become a Titan, she still had 13 years, which again is like, wow,
all of this,
like,
oof,
who knows?
Hey, Aaron.
Who knows how she would have tried to handle the whole Titan infiltration of the Colossal and the Armored, right? And then as things start getting even more crazy, who knows how she would have handled certain situations, right?
Depends on how. It depends, honestly, all on what I think Rod Rice wants. Because he would end up probably manipulating her. I would hope that she would have the knowledge and the courage to step up and be like, no, like what you're doing is wrong. I realize that I'm being manipulated now. But he's such like a master manipulator, like even in the smallest things, like what Eddie mentioned, like when Kenny is like, oh, like where's the trust, Your Majesty? Did I make you mad? And when Rod Rice tells him, like, I already told you, this ceremony can't be done in the presence of you or your crew. And who knows if that's true? It's not.
Yeah, it's not true.
It really doesn't. I don't know what your formalities are in your ceremonies, Rod Rice, but it can be done with him and his crew in there. I just think that, like as Eddie said, he just wants to keep him in the dark and be like, the less knowledge you have of this, the better.
Which is why he even kind of ends it with like, it's because that I trust you.
Yeah,
is that you're here?
Try to make it seem like a good thing. Remind him, like, we've come so far together. I still trust you. Just do this one thing.
But also, Kenny does explain about what's been happening. You know, he says the coup d'état, right? It was
everyone's
successful.
been arrested.
The regiments have taken the scout side, right? They found out old King Fritz was a fake, and now it's a matter of time before they show up here. Yeah. Right. But in this moment here, that Kenny is trying, just like, let's get on with it. Let's eat the kid already. You know, let's go, right? You would think that
whatever you're talking about, it can wait.
You would think that Rod Rice would be more on board with that, right? But no, it seems like he wants to play with his food.
Yeah, no, it really does. Yeah, he doesn't enjoy the outcome. He enjoys the journey of manipulating to get to that outcome.
He wants to,
it seems like it,
force Eren to experience the psychological hell. You know, and really, like as he said, you know, have you seen the your father's sin? You know, and you know, again, he's just trying to really milk it a little bit. He's trying to, you know, just carry on with, you know, Eren feeling this guilt and stuff, you know, and just piling on before, you know, he ultimately tries to go ahead and do the deed. And we know that this weighs on Eren because we're going to see how it affects Eren and how he loses his will to fight. Yeah. Right? But yeah, or we'll see exactly how that turns out, how that plays out, what manipulation Rod Rice continues to go ahead and do. But it seems like right now he has Historia firmly in his pocket. Yeah, which is sad to see because, you know, for reasons that I explained early on in this episode, like you see the development that Krista turned into Historia, what she's really coming went through, herself. You know, and stuff, and then, you know, she loses somebody she cares about, right? But then she kind of opens up a little bit more. She starts kind of becoming a little bit of a person again. Yeah. Right.
And it almost seems like that lingering, like, I want to be lady like you, is like still there, even though she may not remember Frieda. It's still there.
Appreciate it, Crystalline.
Yeah, Dogehype.com.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Thanks, but no thanks.
You're a little late. Maybe early on in the episode we would have listened.
I know. We're about to get to a close, man.
But yeah, again, this was a very, very interesting episode because we go ahead and we finally get some answers. You know, again, for people who are watching this for the first time, again, there's moments where, like, if you can go back and watch a certain scene, if Frieda can erase my memory and I'm go ahead and watching this again for the first time, it's like, wow, you're gonna be like, damn, that's crazy. This is where Grisha's been the entire time, you know. And again, those shock factors that AOT has, I mean, they're so freaking good. Yeah. But yeah, so this is gonna be the shorter episode, guys. We're only an hour and 40 minutes into it. Usually we go ahead and do a hefty 2 hours in, but sometimes we're gonna go ahead and get these.
It was the Q&A that was more straightforward this time.
Yeah, probably.
My only final thought, if we're ready to move on to final thoughts.
Yeah, might as well.
My only final thought that actually has to do with the last segment that we covered is, what do you think is the correlation with, because obviously we saw what happened in how Rod Rice got in possession of, that's pretty much what it is, of Historia, knowing that, the girl will live somewhere else, and, well, not in possession of her, but, you know, having her survive.
Custody.
Custody. Being like, well, let's just have her live somewhere else. We'll give her a different name. Like, how about that? And they're like, okay, fine, but we have to kill Alma. Like, okay, fine. And the way that he's able to just like that be like, okay, your name is Krista. What do you think is the correlation with him naming her Krista as her alias and her favorite character being eventually who she turns out to be as this Krista character? Like, do you think he like saw her book, or do you think Krista would he wasn't really around. He never was around. So how did he know to name her Krista?
Well, to my understanding, Rod Rice's favorite hoe's name was Krista.
Oh, is that what it was?
I think that's why he named her Krista.
Oh, like father, like daughter. Their favorites are Krista's. That's not the answer I was expecting, but I'm glad that it is, I guess.
Yeah, you know, because we all know that Rod Rice has his hoes.
Yeah, he's got yeah.
No, I no. I think maybe Frieda probably just would go ahead and go back and talk to, you know, her father about, you know, moments that she had
favorite
with her.
character.
But then again, it seemed like he was surprised of the memories, and he was like, well, if the lady you're talking about had, you know, whatever long black hair,
yeah, kind-hearted, and
that it sounds like it was your half sister Frieda.
Yeah,
and if she did go back to see you, then you know, and just know that if she erased your memory, it was to protect you. So it sounds like maybe this is the first time that he is hearing this, but then again, he could just be playing it off like he didn't know.
Yeah, true. You can never believe you can't really read the guy. You can never believe what he's saying.
Yeah. So I mean, it is interesting to go ahead and kind of think to yourself why he very quickly just had this different persona of Krista Lenz.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he came up with that name quick.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, okay, your name will be Krista Lenz and you'll live
maybe
in this
he
district.
is familiar with the book. Maybe this is a book that he had given to her. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't see how she ever receives the book.
Yeah, true.
You know?
We don't get to see that, but
I mean, this isn't the book that her mother would go ahead and read, right? 'Cause remember, her mother was reading
yeah,
the
I
book.
was thinking about that too, because I know that her mother would read under a tree and everything. We saw that, you know, the whole jumping on her for a hug fiasco. But I don't know. I don't really, and I don't know if the book is just, you know, a fairy tale, like fable of like this really nice Krista girl who sees the kindness of this seemingly ugly looking monster.
Yeah. You know,
or if it's like a
Bigby and
yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, and
Bigby
it's
Wolf
unless, you know, maybe Boy Rod did give it to her and was like, this is a manipulation book.
Yeah,
I want her to be like this weak, kind-hearted thing.
And if that's the case, then man, this
dude is worse than we thought.
Yeah,
given it was already pretty bad.
Playing chess, not checkers.
Yeah.
He is steps ahead.
Surprised he didn't see Aaron.
And crazy, yeah. I know, right?
He did, and he was just playing it off. I don't
know. Yeah. That's pretty insane. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
We don't really know how we just suddenly thought of the alias Krista Lenz. But yeah, we don't know. We don't know anything. Moral of the story, we don't know anything about Attack on Titan.
Pretty much.
We know enough just to be curious about the stuff we don't know. That's Attack on Titan in a nutshell.
Yeah. So who knows? But maybe I guess to answer your question, then maybe he is very much familiar with the book. Gave it to, you know, his mom. I mean, the mother of Historia, and then, you know, Historia got in possession of it. You know, became really, really loved the character because, you know, of the correlation to her mother, and then, you know, explained it to Frieda, and then maybe he's just, you know, maybe he's just aware of the book. Mm-hmm. That's the name of the person that came to mind. Who knows? And then maybe I wouldn't be surprised if it is just a form of manipulation.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know how far this dude goes.
Very interesting though. Yeah, that's a good question. A question that we're not going to get answers to.
Yeah.
Alrighty. I don't know if we have any other final thoughts. Is there anything we need to talk about for Kenny? No, that's for Kenny. Nothing.
I'm all final thoughted out.
I guess kind of only other final thought.
The episode though, it was just really straightforward with all the information.
Yeah, I guess we get the name of Kenny and his group. They are the Anti-Personnel Control Squad. So that's kind of fancy. But sorry, Kenny, you can't see the ceremony.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right. So we'll see.
Join in next episode.
But you guys know the drill. We'll go ahead and we'll get to a close. We're going to go ahead and shout out some people. We'll talk about some merch, some art. You guys know the drill. Mm-hmm. But of course, it wraps up another episode of Attack to Talk podcast. This is season 3 of the podcast. Remember, guys, new episodes will be streamed live on Twitch every Sunday. And if any changes or if there's anything to update you guys, make sure that you follow along at Attack to Talk podcast on Instagram. Attack the Talk podcast on Instagram for all of your updates. If there's any changes on stream time, anything, we'll update you guys there. Make sure you guys follow us there. And also, make sure you guys go ahead and follow us because the link tree is available there and you guys can see every platform that we're on in that link tree, courtesy a la Lex. So shout out to Lex for that link tree.
Thank you.
Remember, guys, new episodes are published every Friday. That's where you guys go ahead and use that link tree to go ahead and find those episodes and where they are available. Yeah. Huge shout out, of course, to our editor, NatePlaysBad. NatePlaysBad is so awesome. He helps us out so much.
Check out NatePlaysBad.
Nate, you are the best. Go support Nate. Go to his Twitch channel, NatePlaysBad, and shout him out. So, thanks again, Nate. Now let's talk about some merch. So in that link tree, guys, we have a link to a little store, online store that'll, where you can go ahead and get your awesome little anime merch stuff over at Collector Sesh. That is collector_sesh. You click that link, it'll take you to the online store. You guys can go ahead and browse through the many different anime merch that is available, and then check it out, guys. That is Collector Sesh. And also they have a second Instagram. So you can go ahead and see them on Instagram at collector_sesh, as well as their second Instagram account at Geeky Statues. Shout out to Collector Sesh. Shout out to Geeky Statues. Go ahead and check out the profiles. And if you see anything you like, you can go ahead and check out their store. Also, we have a link in our link tree for another store that sells anime stuff, as well as alternative stuff, as well as other stuff, and that is Fandomion. Make sure you guys go ahead and click that link. It'll take you to their online store where you guys go ahead and do some browsing, some shopping. And if you guys see something you like, there's a promo code for you guys to use, and that promo code is LEX. Promo code LEX. The promo code will go ahead and save 10% off of your purchase. Huge shout out to Lex for that promo code LEX. Lexi, any updates or nothing?
So far, nothing, but I will let you guys know when they let me know of updates. Perfect.
So for your anime merch connections, make sure you guys go ahead and check out that link tree for their 2 links available for you guys. That is a link to Collector Sesh, as well as a link to Fandomion. There's a promo code for you guys to use, promo code LEX. All right, talk about some art talk. Of course, we got to shout out our friend ArtofCesar.
Yep.
Caesar is an awesome dude, very talented dude who has some awesome art that you guys go ahead and check out at his Instagram at art_of_Caesar_. That is ArtofCesar. Check them out over on Instagram. And if you see something you like, guess what? There's a link for you guys to go ahead and use in our link tree. It'll take you to his Etsy store where you guys go ahead and look through the art that he has available for purchase. If you see something you like, guys, go ahead and support Caesar. Buy his art so you guys can go ahead and display it over in your room and wherever you want to go ahead and display that art, because it's awesome art.
Yes.
I have plenty of it here in this room. Huge shout out to Caesar. Go support Caesar. Again, at ArtofCesar on Instagram. And you can find his art over in the link tree. Also, huge shout out to our friends that go ahead and support us. You guys know them. We got our friend Eddie, right? He has art over on his Instagram at ArtDewan. Go ahead and support him. He also is a content creator over on YouTube. Go ahead and check him out at his name, Eddie Hinston. Huge shout out to Eddie. Day one, Levi Squad member. We appreciate you. Also, if you guys are interested into in some photo, in some photography, we have also a friend of the show, also Levi Squad member, Kyron, our social media manager for TikTok. TikTok is his game. Kyron is his name. Portraits by KA is his Instagram
name. Instagram,
Go check it out, guys. Go support him. Go support our friends. Obviously we have another friend, Marco, who does art as well. I'm sure he's still kicking out those art, right?
Yes.
So go ahead and shout out Marco as well. We miss you, my friend. He is at Marco Mamone. That O in Marco is a 0.
Yep.
Marco Mamone. Huge shout out to our friend Marco. Huge shout out to our friend Eddie. Huge shout out to our friend Kyron. Just shout out to our friends.
Yeah. Shout out to everyone. All you guys. You guys are all so creative.
We appreciate you all so much for you guys' support, you guys' love. It means the world to us. When you guys join us live, it is awesome. When you guys chat with us, it is awesome. You guys are awesome. We love you guys so much. Huge shout out to you guys. Huge shout out to the Levi Squad.
Yes. Thank you, Levi Squad.
All right, guys. I want to go ahead and channel some wise words from a person named Frieda, right? So, in the words of Frieda Rice, this elegant lady, she says, You'll find pain and suffering everywhere you look in this world. Do your best to make things better. Treat people with love, and they will love you in return. Lovely words. Thank you, Frieda, for that.
Thank you, Frieda.
So with that being said, guys, this is Attack the Talk. We love you guys. This is AJ. I love you guys. This is Lexi.
Love you guys.
And make sure you guys go ahead and look forward and keep an eye out for future episodes. Keep an eye out for those future Q&A questions we have over on Instagram. Keep a lookout for those poll questions we put out every single week. Mm-hmm. Your guys' feedback is very much needed and very much appreciated. So with all that being said, guys, I got nothing else for you. This is AJ signing off. Again, guys, just spread that love and positivity. Mm-hmm. Like Frieda said, show that love. People love you back. We hate, we love love. All right, guys. Peace out. This is AJ. I'll see you guys next week.
Bye, guys. Attack the Talk loves you.